It is Big 12 expansion. Is it coming for Oregon State and Washington State? We got a bunch of tweets about this today, and a lot of people asking us what our thoughts were on now that Washington State and Oregon State control the fate of the Pac-12. Will they be joining the Big 12? And simply put, we reached out to our sources over the last week or so that we've been talking about this. The answer remains unchanged. The Big 12 is not expanding, and certainly not for just Oregon State and Washington State. Greg Swaim was reporting earlier this week, or during the weekend, I guess, that Oregon State and Washington State are going to buy their way into the Big 12 in 2026. I was told point blank today that's not a possibility on its own, that there would have to be significant movement in college football expansion. There'd have to be more realignment because, simply put, the Big 12 is not in a position where they feel like there is an opportunity to make significant money or have a land grab with Oregon State and Washington State. And I agree with that. I think if that opportunity was there, Brett Yormark would have taken that already. As somebody that, has been very savvy in expansion and realignment, there would be no reason for Brett Yormark simply to ignore revenue-generating opportunities, which he has not done. I think most people who have looked at this situation will tell you, and what our sources in the Pac-12 and close to Oregon State and Washington State have told us, they have no plans for change in the next 2 years. They are going to remain the Pac-12 in name, maybe only in name, for the next 2 seasons. But their sights are fully set on a merger with the Mountain West. And I think that the other elephant in the room here is, by 2026, I almost have no doubt that we are going to see more significant movement around college football. But, Jake, I don't think there's Big 12 expansion, and I don't think if there were that it would only be Oregon State and Washington State.
And I think that's what's difficult for Oregon State and Washington State is that they're in this position where, yes, they're somewhat valuable brands, but they're not marquee brands that the Big 12 would, really feel, like they took a misstep by not adding. And I think that's the difficult part for these two, is that they would need help to get back into a Power Four situation. And I think that's the interesting conundrum, if you will, of their situation. Like, you have to find a way back to relevancy. You have to find a way back into a strong position for your school. And I maintain the only way to do that is through the Mountain West path. I don't think that there's any opportunity to buy your way into a conference, especially the Big 12 with where the Big 12 is going. I don't think that, well, we know that the ACC wouldn't be interested in you. You're obviously not a fit for the Big 10 or the SEC. So that's why I say, like, this is all just noise. And I think furthermore, for Oregon State and Washington State, you need to stay focused on your path and your mission here. Getting distracted with reports that you're going to buy your way into the Big 12 is just that. It's a distraction. And if you get distracted with this and somehow, after winning this court battle and finally securing controlling position in what's left of your conference, if at this stage you were to take a misstep, that's on you. And to me, if I'm the one in control of this situation, I'm full steam ahead on a merger with the Mountain West, and hopefully that's the Mountain West coming to you under the Pac-12 umbrella, and you can reimagine the conference and do the absolute best that you can do. But the idea that you would take some gold mine of money and pay your way into the Big 12, I think is just it just doesn't seem all that smart, because what really are you accomplishing? I mean, okay, yeah, you're in a P4 again. Great. But at that point, then what? So you're in the conference. Now what do we do? And that's what I think nobody really knows the answer to which I say, to hell with that. Let's merge with the Mountain West. Let's make the path really easy for ourselves. Let's play Oregon once a season, and let's go undefeated. That's your mission if you're Oregon State right now.
Yeah, I think the problem there is that there is a lack of value for a as it was described to me anyways, a lack of value in the entirety of the Mountain West. And I think that's accurate. I think when you look at the top schools and you look at where college football is going, I think the big change that is coming is not going to be realignment. I think the big change that is coming is the way that we stack teams up. I think there is a chance that conferences go away. I think there is a chance it's this Chip Kelly thing. and I don't know how many people heard what Chip Kelly said, but Chip Kelly was very aggressive in his comments about fixing college football. And it's funny, he echoed our thoughts from last week, which were, I don't know that we need conferences anymore. We are in a position, and we talked about this because of this proposal to have this haves versus have-nots, the super elite, the super powerful, the super rich teams on another level. And my answer to that was, well, then what do we need a conference alignment for? What do we need conference standings for? And I think Chip Kelly put it perfectly when he said, maybe everybody needs to be independent.
I think they're all a problem, and I think we need to have a conference commissioner. I think football should be separate from the other sports. Just the fact that our school is leaving to go to the Big Ten in football, our softball team should be playing Arizona in softball. Our basketball team should be playing Arizona in basketball. But because football left, and they're saying, well, how do you do that? Well, Notre Dame's independent in football, and they're in a conference and everything else. I think we should all be independent in football. And you can have a 64-team conference that's in the Power Five, and you can have a 64-team conference in the Group of Five. And we separate it, and we play each other. You can have the West Coast teams, and then every year we play 7 games against the West Coast teams, and then we play the East. So we play Syracuse, Boston College, Pitt, West Virginia, Virginia. Then the next year you play against the South while you still play your 7 teams. You can play a 7-game schedule. You can play 4 against another conference, another division opponent, and you can always play against one Mountain West team every year so that we can still keep those rivalries going. Not that I've really thought about this. Not that I've a lot of spent time on this. But I think if you went together collectively as a group and said there's 132 teams and we all share the same TV contract, so that the Mountain West doesn't have one and the Sun Belt doesn't have another and SEC has one and they have another, that we all go together, that's a lot of games, and there's a lot of people in the TV world that would go through it. You can sponsor each one. Instead of calling it Group of Five and Power Five, you can call it Amazon, Nike, bid that out to things. You do a lot of different things. But I think if we still do the same thing and take all that money, and I would do this, and I think this needs to be done, that money now needs to be shared with the student athletes, and there needs to be revenue sharing, and the players should get paid, and you can get rid of NLI, and the schools should be paying the players because the players are what the product is. And the fact that they don't get paid is really the biggest travesty. Not that I've thought about it.
Yeah, and I think that's spot on. I think that when you look at the way that college football is set up, UCLA football should be going to the Big Ten. UCLA track and field, UCLA stick and ball, UCLA swimming should not be going to the Big Ten. And there's no reason to do it. And I think people have in their minds that all of a sudden there's going to be a bunch of moving trucks in Westwood and, you know, UCLA's moving to Evanston, Illinois. Like, that's just not the way this works. And you are punishing, in my opinion, the totality of UCLA athletics because they're going to the Big Ten. And I understand the money's fantastic, but we never seem to put the student athlete first. And we talk all this nonsense about graduation rates, and we talk all this nonsense about, you know, hey, the football team's GPA. Nobody cares. It's disingenuous, in my opinion. And I think it's cool to put it in a stat, and it's cool to put it on a graph and put it on some chancellor's and some AD and some football coach's resume, but nobody cares. There's no, you know, pulse of, well, I know Chip Kelly's going to a bowl game, but his kids are getting a C in science. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. And I continue to say the hypocrisy of talking about, you know, Oregon State and Washington State got screwed. They didn't get screwed. They were a victim of circumstance in the expansion and the explosion of college football. It's not basketball, the expansion and the explosion of college football. And I agree 100% with Chip Kelly. There's no reason to have all of these schools lock, stock, and barrel athletically in the Big Ten. And this is the Gonzaga conversation, right? We're not talking about Gonzaga track and field. Why not leave them in the WCC and put Gonzaga basketball in the Big 12?
Gonzaga.
Right? It makes sense, but that's why it won't happen, because it's too much common sense. That seems to be the plague in college athletics today. Beyond the fact that we don't care about the kid, and we probably need to stop talking about, you know, how much we care about our kids. You don't. What you care about is making money. And I don't mean to paint with a broad brush, but in generality, like I was watching the prime Dion Sanders I don't know what you call it, docu-series on Amazon Prime. Fantastic. What he did for Travis Hunter, and that's great. I've had the great fortune of being around guys like Kalani Sitake, Bronco Mendenhall, Kyle Whittingham. I know that coaches care about their guys. But don't sit here and tell me the NCAA is worried about graduation rates. Don't sit here and tell me they're worried about GPAs.
That's bullshit.
They're worried about making money. And I think that's the biggest issue here is we're so focused on let's see how much money Washington State and Oregon State can bring to a TV contract. That's not the conversation. The conversation should be, why are we not independent in college football? Why? That's what it should be. We've talked about this for months on this show. We put too much emphasis on the brand in totality. Nobody cares. Again, with all due respect, nobody cares about Arizona State hockey, for instance, which is a blossoming little thing there, right? They have their own arena. That's cool. Are they in the Big 12 now? They're not, nor should they be, nor should their track team, nor should their stick and ball sports. I'm telling you, we're so focused on the bottom line that we're not thinking about kids and their well-being. We're not thinking about it. I'm not trying to go on some run here about all things student athlete, but we're not thinking about their grades. We're not thinking about where they are in 10 years. We're not thinking about their mental health. We're thinking about our bottom line, and that's the problem in college sports.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think, you talk about bottom line. I think if, college football was independent, the bottom line goes up. I think you make more money by going to the TV partners at B, if you will, Fox, ESPN, CBS, you all know the names. You go to that group and you say, hey, we've got X amount of teams that are in a pool playing each other.
Yeah.
How do you want to, how do you guys want to do this? How do we want to divvy it up essentially? And I think that's where you start to open the doors to, proper NIL legislation.
Excuse me, Chip said NLI.
Right.
Can we get it right? It's NLI according to Chip Kelly, who shouldn't be the coach at UCLA. But that's not really the point. My point is,
we're not talking about National Letter of Intent Day, Slick. We're talking about name, image, and likeness.
I think it is crazy. If you've watched this show, maybe today's your first day. We appreciate you being here. Please hit the like button. My firm belief is nobody cares about the student athlete. I think overwhelmingly people care about money, playing in big games, like why do we play this game where transfers are limited or they're unlimited, or it depends on what the temporary restraining order says? You're going to have to get rid of the transfer portal whether you want to or not. Every kid should be able to transfer, period. You're going to have to do that. And why do we, people are making this big deal about Caitlin Clark now has the largest NIL income on a monthly basis. Good for her. Why is that a problem? I don't understand that. Like every Oak State fan on the planet sending me DMs and tweets and, one guy hitting me with like 50 messages on Instagram over the weekend. Look, the mullet's in the portal, Monty. You were wrong. Okay, cool.
I'm a man.
Congratulations, you're finally in the portal. We need a level playing field, right? It needs to be, in my opinion, if we're going to do this right, there needs to be complete equality across the board. Stop asking me about whether or not the SEC is the best football conference in the country. It is, and you don't have to like it, but it is what it is.
Well, and I think when you say equality, that to be perfectly clear so that the comment section isn't confused, it's a quality of opportunity, not a quality of performance, right? Everybody needs to have the same level of opportunity. That does not mean that the mullet is going to recruit at a Nick Saban level, because he's not. Never has been doing it, never will do it. Because he's not he doesn't have the veracity required to be an elite recruiter in the Big 12 or the SEC.
But think about Nick Saban. Think about Dion Sanders. Sanders.
Dion.
It's funny how much Dion Sanders and Nick Saban are alike.
Do you believe?
And I don't know that anybody realizes it. What are they talking to their kids about? Hey, what are you going to do when this is over? Because you're not going to the NFL. Nick Saban says it all the time. I have the harsh conversation with kids. You're not going to the NFL. You're not probably playing at the next level. So where are your grades? What are you doing to graduate? Dion, and if you're not watching the docuseries with Dion Sanders on Amazon Prime, you're missing out. It's season 2 is so much better than season 1. And what's he talking about? I want to win off the field and on the field. I want you to graduate. I want you to be the first one to break the cycle in your family. I want you to talking about all this stuff because 9 out of 10 of these kids that the NCAA and the white hairs are focused on making money on, those kids aren't going to play professional sports.
No.
They're not going to the NFL. They're not going to the NBA. They're not going to Major League Baseball. They're going to a job. And what kind of a job is that? I don't know. Because if you don't graduate, right, if you get, and this is where the rubber meets the road, right? So we put a kid into our program who probably wasn't qualified academically, broke his leg, done playing football for the rest of his life.
Yeah, no, that's not going to happen.
Now what? Now what? That's the biggest question right there to me. 9 out of 10 of these kids are not going to play at the next level. But
we want to crucify Caitlin Clark for, making that NIL money.
And I just don't think I don't think you can do it.
No.
I think it is I look at this Oregon State and Washington State situation. I would not be in a hurry to pay my way in. I would not be in a hurry to buy my way into the Big 12.
How do you even know that's the best opportunity in front of you? I mean,
do you understand how much the landscape has changed in the last 90 days? I don't think people realize this. Do you understand that we've had lawsuits over the transfer portal? We've had lawsuits over bowl eligibility. We've had lawsuits over, hey, who got into the college football playoff? And you think this is the end? No, this is the beginning. College sports a year from now, I think college football is going to be remarkably different 6 weeks from now. When this college football season ends, when the national champion is crowned, just based on what is going to happen at Michigan with Jim Harbaugh, college football will be different. And I remind you, America's team, they were also in court trying to defend Jim Harbaugh until they weren't.
Sign stealer guy.
Like the idea that 2026 is where you're focused, which again, I want to make this really clear. We talked to really good sources, closest situation. The Big 12 has not recently and is not now talking to Oregon State and Washington State. So they're not in a conversation. They're not trying to, none of that.
Yeah, we're not making any changes.
What I'm telling you is, and this is hard for me to say out loud, Kirk Schultz is actually focused on the right thing, fixing the micro so the macro gets better.
Correct.
Kirk Schultz realizes his house is on fire now. And I think a lot of people forgot about this as well, right? A lot of people forgot that, oh, well, you guys won the lawsuit. Now you're in control of the Pac-12. Good luck. Because now you've got the Holiday Bowl lawsuit. You've got the Comcast thing is taking care of itself largely, but you've got lawsuits with former employees. You've got all of these issues.
You got a lot of expenses on the P&L right now, bro.
And you've got 10 teams leaving who are expected a paycheck. And my guess is, because I'm also told that the Pac-2 and the exiting 10 are in negotiation right now to figure out how to quite literally avoid litigating this again, because I think the exiting 10 members would sue if they feel like they're not going to get the money they deserve. And there is a stipulation in this ruling from the lower court that awarded this control to Oregon State and Washington State that they have to be just and fair in their monetary dealings. I think you're looking at a situation where the Pac-2 have to negotiate to make sure that they don't get left holding the bag on the Holiday Bowl, that they don't get left holding the bag of these 2 former employees that are suing. Essentially, they don't get left with the cost of cleaning up Larry Scott's mess.
Correct.
That's what this is. So I think we are a long way from done in the Pac-2, Pac-12.
And I think it's irresponsible just to focus on this. Like, if you go around Twitter right now, everyone's focused on, oh, well, they're in control of hundreds of millions of dollars and they're just going to keep that for themselves, which couldn't be further from the truth. The hundreds of millions of dollars just allows them to survive because all this stuff you got to settle and pay and, the checks you got to cut. Like, dude, you're not even close to done with this yet, man.
Ooh, big breaking news story in college football presented by our good friends at Sound Sleep Medical. SoundSleepMedical.com. Make sure you get to any of their Utah locations. You guys, snoring and sleep apnea, while they go hand in hand, they can be two completely different things. If you snore on a nightly basis, get to SoundSleepMedical.com. They've got this great oral appliance, which is called a custom mouthpiece to pull your jaw forward so you stop snoring, you sleep better, you improve your relationship with your significant other. Hook it up right now, SoundSleepMedical.com. Pete, how about on Paul Feinbaum today? Paul had somebody doing updates on his show on ESPN. Pete the Mole. Pete the Mole is reporting.
What are you talking about, man?
How do you work at ESPN on Paul Feinbaum's show and not know who Pete Thamel is?
Where are we at in society today?
Pete Thamel, ESPN. Dylan Raiola has officially switched from Georgia to Nebraska.
This is a code 10 abort.
He is the highest ranked recruit, number 8 overall, to pick Nebraska since ESPN began ranking high school players in 2006. I am sure that you guys are all aware. Raiola's father is Dominic Raiola, who was an All-American and just a stud lineman. This is not shocking, but this is a massive loss. This is a massive loss for Georgia. But you know what else this does? It explains the news that Carson Beck is returning to Georgia. Carson Beck announced an hour ago, maybe, that he is going back to Georgia. Yeah, I'm going to guess it's because Dylan Raiola is going to Nebraska officially. This recruiting cycle, this transfer portal thing. I mean, you look at who's winning in the transfer portal. Dion Sanders won. At this point, he's got the highest grade by a lot. And just on offensive and defensive linemen alone, he has crushed it. But you look at some of the other names that have won in the transfer portal. And shout out Oak State and the Mullet. Finally getting going in the transfer portal. But if you look at the transfer portal grades, dude, it is hard to believe that Dion Sanders, you guys, Dion's got 51 commitments in the transfer portal.
I'm for real.
A 5-star, 5 4-stars.
I'm for real.
He's got 20 more commitments than number 2 Arizona State, who has 0 5-stars. SMU has 26. Louisville has 25. Ole Miss, the SIP. My guy. How about Lane Train decimating Tennessee over the weekend? Anybody see that? I know you were off oversexing yourself on your birthday weekend. I was actually paying attention. Lane Train kicking ass in the portal. It's remarkable to me that when you look at the total commits and you look at the 5-stars in the portal, Dion Sanders tied with LSU and Texas as the only schools to have 5-star commits in the portal. It's wild. His average, do you guys understand that his average transfer portal guy is rated an 87 at Colorado?
Damn.
How do you even do that? And then he's 2 points above number 2, which is LSU in points. He's at 78. LSU's at 76. Ole Miss at 74. It's unbelievable what Dion Sanders is doing. And it's going to be wild. So again, I guess back to the point. College football is changing.
Absolutely.
All right. Whew.
Okay.
How about that for a 26-minute roll-off?
He has our full respect.
And pimp's going pimp. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Which is why we got to hook up the Buckshot.
The
Buckies is some of our fine favorite listeners. I believe OG Gary refers to it as a Bucky. It's Buckshot from BuckedUp. It is the best energy drink, or the best energy shot, if you will, on the market. And a lot of people ask me this. Well, hey, Monty, bucked up, dude. Yeah, I'm bucked up. But when you say naturally sourced caffeine, what does that even mean, bro? What it means is at BuckedUp, they do not dump in a bunch of chemicals. Because if you look at the chemicals or the ingredient list in your favorite energy shot, 5 Hour Energy, whoever else it might be, compare their ingredient list to BuckedUp's ingredient list on Buckshot. Naturally sourced caffeine comes from green tea leaf extract. So it's not, high fluorocaldamide high.
Because it's garbage.
And stuff that they dump in here to make you feel like you got a buzz. And then it goes away so you crash. It's nice and level. And you look at the graphic on the screen, guys, go get 6 free of them right now in the description. So many people have said, oh, did I miss it? Did I miss the Buckshots? No, you didn't. Go get 6 free in the description below. And I'm telling you right now, Buckshot does it every single day for me. I played winter golf yesterday, 3 over, playing 9 holes. 3 over in rock hard freezing conditions.
Yeah, but you went Tiger Woods on it, Sunday red. Yeah.
You know why? Because I hit a Buckshot, and what did I do on the first tee? Drove it 305 yards straight down the middle, right to the front of the green.
Yeah.
It was amazing. And then couldn't drive it. The ground was so hard yesterday, I couldn't put a tee in the tee box. Because it was hard. It's like concrete. That didn't stop me from hitting a Buckshot. I'm into the Blue Raz. I'm telling you. I believe that Blue Raz has overtaken watermelon.
It's smooth.
Smooth. Hit it right now. BuckedUp.com. Get your free 6 Buckshots in the description below. Or go check it out online. Use the promo code Monty to get 20% off at checkout. BuckedUp, the official energy provider of the Monty Show. Do not forget, tomorrow is Giving Tuesday. So we'll be on in the morning tomorrow, because tomorrow is actually our last live show of the year. We have to celebrate somebody's
it's kind of a big deal.
Significant,
I got older today.
And stuff.
It's,
Because shit's going good.
Well, for you, it's going good because
Yeah.
Jake got he got a Scotty Cameron putter.
Yeah,
I got him a new pair of Jordan golf shoes.
Mrs. Monty was not approving of.
I'm taking him to Vegas, and I'm taking him to LA. We're playing
That's right, T.
phenomenal golf courses.
Yeah, Pelican Hill.
Got me
Pelicans stay.
Got me absolutely nothing for Christmas.
That's not true.
Not a single thing.
That's not true.
Okay, so you're going to give me a gift on Christmas.
No, that's not true.
There you go.
Bullshit.
There you go. Cleveland Rocks, first one in for $2. Bears outplayed the Browns and lost. Thank you. Yeah, I would like to congratulate the Chicago Bears on snatching defeat from the jaws of victory once again. Matt Ebersucks, the head coach of the Bears, found a way
is that guy?
to lose the game for the Bears.
Yeah, anybody heard of some guy named Darnell?
It's not Justin Fields' fault. Darnell Mooney had a Hail Mary in his hands full of grace, and he's not used to having such big balls in his hands, so he dropped it. That's all I can say. That's all I can say, Cleveland Rocks. Is Joe Flacco one of the best stories in all of sports right now?
Yes.
How is he not?
Yes.
How is he not? I don't know. I have no idea. Dakota Tubbs.
Hey,
Oh!
what's up, Tubbs?
Member of the show for 4 months. Many of you may not know that Dakota Tubbs is also the president of the Quinn Snyder fan club.
That's every day.
Here on the Monty Showgram. How is Jake turning into a 30-year-old man not the lead story in the sports world?
Dude, I don't know, dude.
Again.
Whatever.
Pretty amazing that Jake, still is somebody who is not partaking in the, commingling of DNA with the opposite sex. And he's 30 years old. It's a great accomplishment.
Waves in opposition.
Saving yourself for marriage.
Yeah.
And whatnot.
Yeah.
Aaron Wilson for $2. Happy birthday, Jake. Thanks for all you do. Shan Rollins gifted 5 Monty Show memberships.
Okay, Sean.
Aaron Wilson. your birthday. You forgot how to hit the chime.
Yeah.
Lokeman for $10. You guys realize most of these football players won't go pro. Truth.
So wait, hold on. Just a quick pause button. I believe you just said 15 minutes ago that most college football players.
I
won't
said
go pro.
most college athletes. Basketball, again, my favorite phrase, stick and ball sports.
Right.
They're not going pro. I mean,
You know what that's like these days?
they're not. 9 out of 10 professional athletes or 9 out of 10 college athletes will not get a paycheck in their given sport.
You're so fucked.
They just won't. So is not thinking about the student athletes' grades really looking out for them? No, it's not. It's nobody. I will again keep telling you, nobody cares about their grades. And to your question, so is not thinking about the student athletes' grades really looking out for them? It's not. And it's why guys like Dion and guys like Nick Saban and Kyle Whittingham and Kalani Sitake and Bronco Mendenhall and there are more, clearly, the guys I've been around. Pete
Jim
Carroll.
Harbaugh?
No. Pete Carroll was wonderful about this.
Right.
They always tell you, listen, you're not likely to get a pro paycheck. Get in the books. Get in your studies. Be an All-American in the classroom, which is what Nick Saban says all the time. Because what do you have to lose by being an All-American in the classroom? And I think it is really important to have that. You have to have your education.
Absolutely.
It's not negotiable. NIL should be connected to grades. No, it should not. No, it should not. And Lokeman, the reason I disagree is because NIL is not about the white hairs that control, college athletics. NIL is about Caitlin Clark doing a deal, Thursday with Gatorade, adding to her, I think she's got deals with Apple and Buick. That has nothing to do with Iowa. That has nothing to do with the white hairs. That has to do with she's a hell of a basketball player that has prepared herself day in and day out to be an elite performer, and Gatorade wants to represent her.
We built this program on NIL.
Period. That's what it's about. And if you connect, the other thing that you have to remember is when you connect NIL to grades, the unequal playing field of education at lower levels from grade school to intermediate to high school. And do you really think there's a level playing field from the inner city to the suburbs in just about every town in this country? I can tell you, as somebody that went to school in the Chicago public school system and then moved to the suburbs and went to one of the highest rated high schools in Illinois, that's not an easy transition. And the kids in the inner city are not getting the preparation in the classroom that the kids in the suburbs are getting. And when you go to private school or charter school, what you can't compare what a kid from the inner city, the education he has access to or she has access to what your suburban kid has access to. So saying, well, your grades suck. Well, nobody taught me how to prepare for tests. Nobody had an ACT. Like when you want to know the change that I had when I went from public school to like really good education in the suburbs. I had no idea what an ACT test was. I had no idea. And you know how I found out? Because I went to a school, Adlai Stevenson High School in Lincolnshire, Illinois, or Prairie View, technically. One of the first things I had to do as a freshman was take an ACT prep course. And I was like, what is this? I don't know what this is. It's a completely different universe.
Yeah.
You can't tie NIL or a kid's ability to make money to his ability to pass a test. That's not the right way to go.
Completely agree.
Cyclone Steve, pros can't move every year. They have contracts. Okay, so what's one got to do with the other? Professional athletes also highly compensated. The average MLB player on a minimum salary is more highly compensated than most people in college. The thing, and I don't know if your point, Steve, is to not allow kids to openly transfer. Here's the issue, though. Do NIL in the portal right, and you won't have to worry about losing your entire basketball team like Bobby Hurley at Arizona State every year. Because you're an asshole, people don't like you, and you're tough to play for. Probably why your kids keep transferring every year, right? If you treat kids well, you prioritize their needs and their wants, and you help them see a future like Nick Saban or Dion Sanders, or maybe kids won't leave at historic levels. The bottom line is kids are going to transfer when they see something better for themselves. And the thing that makes guys like Nick Saban, because everybody's going to lose people.
Right.
Every
Always
coach.
turnover.
But when you see guys losing 5, 10, 15, 20 people, and they're not flipping a roster, that's when you're like, okay, what is the story here? Because in my opinion, the transfer portal is far more important and impactful than National Signing Day high school recruit.
Absolutely.
And the high school recruit's still really important. But just because you didn't get them in high school doesn't mean that you can't get them later down the road. That's the difference.
And I think, the quality of your program and the level of turnover you have every year stands out to these kids. I mean, one thing I never hear people talk about is like, hey, that senior in high school is smart enough to know the difference. Smart enough to know, hey, man, every year under whoever, Ryan Day, Kirby, Nick Saban, there's X amount of turnover. What does that mean? Does that mean that I have a better chance if there's less turnover under Nick Saban? Well, if I'm bought in and my grades are good and I'm performing at a high level in the film room and, I take that high level performance off the field and I put it onto the field, I should be in a pretty good place. And that's what I think no one talks about. Like, winning in college football specifically really brings credence to these recruits because you can say, hey, man, like we put guys in the league regularly, and I can take you from where you are now to there.
But it's why you look at and I'd have to look it up real quick, but the top 10 recruits in the country, are committed to Ohio State, Nebraska, Georgia, Oklahoma, Texas Tech, Missouri, Auburn, Texas, Miami, and Alabama. So, not for nothing, just based on what the transfer portal looks like there and based on what the recruiting rankings look like, what you're telling me is people want to play at major universities.
Right.
So maybe NIL isn't the beginning and the end. Maybe Arch Manning wanted to play at Texas and he's willing to sit another year because Quinn Ewers is coming back.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe a kid like Rola wants to go to Nebraska because his old man went to Nebraska,
which has been done a million times.
I will continue to say kids want to play in the biggest games on Saturdays. Their dream isn't to make a ton of money in NIL. Their dream is to play in these big games, Alabama and Georgia, while making money in NIL. Because they know if you're a kid like Brock Bowers, who nobody knew that kid's name 2 years ago, all of a sudden, I play at Georgia. We went back-to-back national championships, went to 3 straight SEC championship games. Now, all of a sudden, that kid is going to be a first-round pick in the draft. I mean, this is, to me, NIL is important. It's not the most important thing. I still maintain, and hey, this Nick Saban's going to retire thing, okay. Maybe that's true. Who's going to replace him in Alabama? Because that's far more important than how much NIL money they're going to make. That's the question.
Good luck.
Who's going to replace Nick Saban when he does retire?
I want nothing to do with being the guy that replaces
It's going to be a tough job.
Yeah, dude.
It's going to be a tough job. Ryan Willie, who's been a member for 4 months. But I get it's your birthday and you're checked.
Right.
You know what that's like these days?
I don't. I've stopped celebrating birthdays. And I don't get Christmas gifts from my child.
That's not true.
Bro. I'm just over here doing my thing.
That's bullshit.
SEC and Big won't let it happen. Too much money. Do you really think the TV money's going away? TV money's never going away.
Come on, bro.
There will only be more TV money.
Come on, Ryan. I know you're better than that, dude. Let's go. Come on.
And to your point, when we're talking about every school being independent, it's still the AP top 25 in the college football playoff. Now, if that happens, if every school went independent, let's say, you'd have to change the way you select teams because conference AQs go away. But it's still the college football playoff.
Yes.
And it's still the AP top 25. The only difference is now you don't have to play Epsilon State University, otherwise known as Syracuse.
Yeah.
Kyle McCord went to Syracuse. Will I be a red ass?
Oh, bro, that's awesome, dude.
But it's what I say about Nate Johnson from Utah going to Vandy. And people are like, oh, jerk. No, I think Kyle McCord to Syracuse is really smart. I think Nate Johnson to Vandy is really smart. You know why? There's no question who the starting quarterback at Syracuse is. It's Kyle McCord.
Yeah, here's the difference, though. Utah to Vandy has nothing on Ohio State stepping way down to Syracuse.
But who cares? That kid knows he'll be able to transfer again if it went horribly wrong. But he's the starting quarterback at Syracuse. They're going to play games of significance. And if he performs, and he's really talented, Kyle McCord, I think, is a victim. And again, I think Lloyd Carr and his play calling at Ohio State.
Yeah, Kyle McCord's going to have to prove that because I'm not giving him that benefit of the doubt.
I said Lloyd Carr.
I don't give a damn who his head coach is. His head coach wasn't throwing the football in a double
I'm
coverage.
calling
repeatedly.
Ryan Day Lloyd Carr.
I'm aware.
Acknowledge my greatness.
Okay, here's what you need to acknowledge. I don't care who
Don't give
Lloyd
a
Carr is, dude.
I don't know
That's
who Lloyd
before
Carr
my
is.
time.
I don't know why it's a funny joke.
Yeah, that's
I turned in
before my
30 today.
time.
Lloyd Carr had liver spots before I was even conceived.
Yeah, like, come on, dude.